Hello, my name is Xavier.
Do you like your horse?
Xavier was born May 31st, 2009. He's a twin to Mackenzie, his sister. He loved his music. He loved video games, driving the boat, fishing. He liked play, like play wrestling and everything, but then he also just loved to cuddle up right next to you and watch a movie too.
He was very easygoing, and having his sister right by his side too, he was never opposed to playing Tea Party with her or
Bringing Ninja Turtles to the Barbie house.
Yeah.
We noticed a difference in the two. He always seemed to be very sick. But through doctor's appointments and emergency visits, it was always passed off as like an ear infection. We noticed that Xavier was holding his head back when the news was delivered after the CT scan that there's something more going on.
I wasn't at the hospital when he got taken into the CT, and just was home with our daughter Mackenzie when I received the call that they were doing the CT and they think it was in his head. I remember the drive to Brantford very well, and the whole time I kept saying, "Oh, I won't bury my child."
When I saw the images of the tumor in the brain, time stood still. The tumor was almost the size of a grapefruit. So you think of the size of a tumor inside, at that time, an 8-month-old. That's pretty significant. And that's why he kept holding his head back, just to get that relief from the pressure of it.
Hey, buddy.
He went in for 12-hour surgery. He went right from that to recovery to chemo probably a couple months after that.
Just before his first birthday, he started radiation. We spent a lot of time in the hospital.
And he loves Star Wars. I think that part of me rubbed off on him. He just loved Star Wars. He kept watching them and watching them. When we would go to the hospital, I'd have to take the DVD set to watch him there at the hospital. He loved everything about it. He loved watching it. He loved playing it. He has multiple costumes.
So after Xavier would have a procedure, it was his goal afterwards to get well enough to dress up to get into his Star Wars costume.
I mean, as time went on, life started to return back to somewhat normal. MRI after MRI always showed that it was not moving at all. Everything was fine. And you get that false sense of security. 2015, it came back.
His remission party actually turned into we go to the hospital on Monday for surgery again. Morning.
He always asked why. He's like, why me? But it wasn't to the point where he felt sorry for himself. He was just, why did I get this? He had surgery again to remove some of the radiation necrosis. Then he had a stroke during surgery, which rendered him not paralyzed on the left side, but very deficient in his moving. I mean, I wanted him in sports, but he couldn't be in any contact sports. And that's why I think we gravitated more towards music, so I could actually start teaching him music. May 13th, 2017, it was around 3 o'clock in the morning.
I was lying next to Xavier in his bed. We were all together in the family room, and I didn't sleep at all through the night. And about 1 o'clock in the morning, the power had gone out, and then came back on, and it was just so strange that had happened. But after that, his breathing had slowed, and we had been told what to expect as he neared death, and I knew that it was moments then. And I held him in my arms and kept whispering in his ear, "Be free, be free." Put my head on his chest until I couldn't hear his heart anymore. And I remember very clearly that last breath he took. Called for Mark and Mackenzie, who came by his bedside. And we all sat on the bed with him together and played one of his favorite songs that brought him a lot of comfort, which was "Somewhere Over the Rainbow."
First met Steve, Carla reached out to cosplayers to set up a May the 4th be with you kind of thing for Mac Hospital in Hamilton. I put a post out looking for models for my photo shoot, and Steve reached out to me and told me about Amber. He asked me if I wanted to be part of the Heroically Ever After, and I said, yeah, I'd love to.
Heroically Ever After is just an association of people that have come together that want to do charity work, want to visit kids in the hospital, costumers, cosplayers, people from all different backgrounds.
Steve had all the connections to get in there, and with his droid, he was very focused on wanting a little group, particularly of Star Wars characters, to go along with the R2 unit. And of course I had Star Wars costumes, but now that's expanded with what we do, so it gets into the Disney characters, it gets into the comic book characters, just so every child gets to experience a character that they're familiar with and that they enjoy. Heroically Ever After definitely takes inspiration from what Xavier did. Going up to the ward to visit children in the hospital, you'll have a nurse escort you, and you'll go room-to-room visits for the children who can't come down to the lobby to visit us. So do a quick visit, say hi, how are you, get some photos with them. Sometimes their families want to get photos, but that's essentially what it is. And sometimes you do see kids in more of a distressed state, and it can be hard. It's definitely not something that everybody can do, and you do sometimes take away a little bit of sadness with you, but to set that aside and know that you're making a difference, that's the reward in it, and that makes it all worthwhile. I've seen a couple of kids from one visit to a next, and sometimes they went from a bedridden state to they're up down in the lobby now. So definitely having the regular visits and giving the kids something to look forward to, I think that's a huge thing for them.
Building an R2 unit, it's not an exact science. Some of it is a little more art than science. Star Wars was the first film that I saw growing up as a kid. And that actually did really get me interested in robots and technology and how do they do that kind of thing. Guys build droids for any reasons. Some people just build the droids for decoration. But no, I wanted something that you could take somewhere and that people thought it was R2-D2. It's one of the reasons why I built R2 as well, because I had two kids that were lucky enough to be fairly healthy. Couldn't imagine what I would have been going through if one of them had fallen ill. And I mean, we're not doctors, we're not nurses, we're just people that want to entertain them for a little while.
The whole idea of costuming always inspired me. I was always wanting something that was from the movies, costume quality and just that whole illusion and fantasy of it. And I started doing costumes for other people as well, and it's totally passion driven.
One of the first things you do when you're building an R2 unit is you decide, okay, what kind of droid do I want to build? Because they're different in every film, they're different in every scene. What I wanted to do with R2 is make a New Hope droid because I wanted him to be a droid of hope.
And I think now with Heroically Ever After, being part of that group for us is really about keeping Xavier's memory alive. He would have loved what they do, absolutely loved every minute of it. And so for us to be able to be part of that, it's such a great feeling for them to want to be, have our story part of it as well.
Oh, I could totally see him wanting to do it.
Yeah.
I could see him wanting to be Darth Vader there, yeah. In fact, Xavier was cremated in his Darth Vader costume. So it was pretty neat that he could take that with him.
Human beings are capable of a great amount of destruction, a great amount of cruelty, but they're also capable of a great amount of love and compassion and hope for the future, hope for humanity.